Hey guys, welcome to this week's Friday Waffle. I hope you're all doing okay. Yeah, I've had quite a week. Yeah, it started off okay. What was I up to? I've rejoined the gym. So I've been at the gym. I was at the gym on Monday. I was at the gym on Tuesday. I went to my girlfriend's last night, and then I was back at the gym tonight. Just doing a bit of everything, a bit of cardio, a bit of weights, because when you get to my age, you start to kind of get bingo wings. So I thought I'd better try and kind of get myself toned up a wee bit. Anyway, yeah, why has my week been a bit pish? Firstly, I was driving to my girlfriend's house last night, and came up to the roundabout, and there was a car coming round the roundabout. Well, as I drove up to the roundabout, it's a big roundabout. I thought, that's great, I can get out. And as I was about to pull out, I noticed a car was coming round way too fast. So I put the brakes on, and then about 3 or 4 seconds later, I just felt kadoom. A guy ran right into the back of me. Now, to be fair, excuse me, I've got windy pops. To be fair, the guy was, I jumped out of the car, I went, what the hell happened there, mate? And he's like, oh, I'm really sorry. So the guy completely admitted liability. There was no danger that he wasn't going to do that. And then within about half an hour, I got a phone call from his insurance. They've admitted liability. They'll pay for everything. They'll pay for a courtesy car. They'll pay for all the repairs. There'll be no cost to myself. Thing is, it's a company car, so it wouldn't have cost me anything anyway. So I had to pass over all the details. So anyway, that was that. That is the first. I hope it doesn't come in threes. That is only the second bump I have had in, I don't know, what would it be? Passed my test in 1985, so do the maths. I don't know, 35 years, something like that. Yeah, it's the only accident I've had in all that time was I did exactly the same thing as the guy did to me. I was coming up to a roundabout, there was a car in front, and the car decided to go, and then he broke, and I went into the back of him. So that's only the second accident I've ever had in my life. Hopefully I'm not going to be on this waffle next week saying I've had a third one. So anyway, that was that. Didn't start off too well. The damage to my car is, it's not too bad. The back, the boot, yeah, it's a hatchback that I've got. The boot is kind of crumpled in a wee bit. Still, everything works fine. My biggest concern was I had my dogs in the back, and that was my first concern. But I opened up the boot and the dogs appeared to be completely fine. I mean, I don't think the guy was going particularly fast. If he'd been going fast, there'd have been a lot more damage. Touch wood, I haven't noticed any damage to myself. I mean, you do get whiplash, but I don't know. I don't think he was going that fast, which is a good thing. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. And the guy himself's fine. His car, bit of a sort of bump in the front of it. So that was the first thing. Then coming back from my girlfriend's, it's a dark road when I was coming, and a deer ran out in front of me, and I had to slam on the brakes, and fortunately it managed to kind of get across. But I was literally that close from knocking down and probably killing a deer. So that was 2 incidents within about 3 hours. And then this last one, now I can't actually believe I'm going to even tell you this, because I just feel like an absolute idiot. I was sitting at work in my kitchen working away. I was actually just about to go into a Teams meeting thing, video call, whatever you want to call it. And I got a text message on my phone, and it was from NHS Scotland, and it was basically saying I could sign up to a COVID passport, so that you can basically, any organisations that want to see that you've had the double jab, you can show them this passport. So it said that you can opt in or you can opt out. And I thought, well, you know what? Why don't I opt in? What is there to lose? So I clicked on the opt-in link. Then it took me to a website, which now in my old job, I had to do I can never remember, a PCR test every week for COVID, and you had to fill in this form. It's an NHS forum, website, so I'm very familiar as to how these kind of websites look. So when I clicked on the link, it opened up this NHS Scotland link, and it asked me to put in my details, which I did. And this is the bit I can't believe how bloody stupid I was. It then asked me if I would. It said, to verify who you are, can you please put in your bank details? Now, you're probably thinking, I can't believe that you've actually done that. And you know what? I can't believe that I did it either. But I did, because it looked so official. So I did, and I had my Teams meeting, and then I was telling one of my colleagues, and he went, you're having a laugh. He says, you've been scammed. And I went, shit. So I re-looked at the text message, and it was basically, you could tell that the English wasn't good. So right away I knew I had been had. So I did a quick Google, and lo and behold, they were warning you, this is apparently a thing. Watch out, don't get caught. So I phoned my bank, cancelled my card, but yeah, you know what, I honestly cannot believe that was that stupid. Why did I fall for that? I mean, I tell people all the time, never ever ever fill in anything. So I'm just trying to open up YouTube. Never ever ever fill in, why is that not working? Never ever ever fill in something that's asking for bank details, because it's obviously going to be a scam. Why is that not working? That's weird. That's strange, my iPad's not working. Odd, I'll need to restart it. So yeah, there you go. So I was involved in an accident. I almost ran down a deer, and then why is that not working? That was weird. And then I got scammed. So yeah, there you go. Right, this iPad is not playing ball. Why is that? Why is that? Right, we're back again. It's working. I don't know what was going on there. I've never seen an iPad crash before. So anyway, yeah. Apart from all that and going to the gym, I've been absolutely fine. What have I been doing, gaming wise? Have I been playing anything? I've been caning my arcade cabs a bit more. I realise I've not really been making full use of them as much as I should. So I've been playing a fair bit of them the last couple of days. I've put out a couple of videos. I put out a video last night as well. I want to try and get out at least the very least one normal video. Then you're going to have the Friday Waffle, and then you're going to have the Sunday live stream as well. Subscribers, a weird thing, really weird thing. My subscriber count, I don't know why I said that so slow, my subscriber count has pretty much remained static over the last, I would probably say, month, something like that, maybe 6 weeks even. I don't know why. It got to a point where I would gain 2 subscribers and then I would lose 4. Then I would gain 1 and lose 2. Then I would gain 2 and lose 1, and then gain 2 and lose another 1. So basically, it was just sitting. It was sitting still for at least about 6 weeks. Don't know why. Well, that's what happens. And then I went away to London. Didn't put out a single video in that week, and lo and behold, I picked up about 15 subscribers. Go figure. So it seems to me, the less videos I make, the more people want to subscribe to my channel. No idea, don't know why that is. But anyway, yeah, listen, if you're a new subscriber, thank you very much for taking the time to sort of, I'm just trying to see if I've got any comments. There we go, I've got a few comments here, which is nice. Yeah, it seems that the less videos I put out, the more people want to watch my channel, which is a bit strange. So yeah, it's been nice. There's been a few kind of new faces that have popped up in the Sunday stream, and that's great. I mean, I'm internally grateful to everybody that consistently supports my channel. I mean, you all know who you are. I've got a really good following of people who watch all my live streams. You know, they comment regular, they keep all the questions going as well. So it's, you know, that's all fantastic. But it's always nice to see kind of new people came along. I mean, one guy, I'm not going to name who it was. He came into the live stream and he very kindly gave me a little donation, which, you know, was fantastic. And I messaged him. He started following me on Twitter, so I messaged him back. I just said, look, thank you very, very much for what you did. And he said, look, you know what? He says, your channel is like a breath of fresh air. He says you're sincere, and he says you're a real person. And I think that's a thing that I've found with YouTube. Probably, I think in the last couple of years, it's got worse. The whole retro scene has definitely got more popular. You know, everybody in their auntie has got YouTube channels and all this kind of stuff. But there's so many. The majority of YouTube channels that I watch, they're just false. You know, and they may have amazing production values. In fact, who was it? I was watching somebody. Who was it that was talking about this? I can't remember who it was. Was it Steve Benway possibly? I can't remember. It might have been Steve Benway. Yeah, I think it was actually. And what Steve was saying is he finds that YouTube now, or YouTube back in the day, was amateur people. It was a platform for people like myself, like you guys, like Steve, to put out videos, to make content. And it was just normal people with jobs, etc. You know, and that's what made it so wonderful. But what's happened over the last, I don't know, probably the last 10 years is, and it's not just retro gaming, it's every sort of thing, but you know, it's creeped into retro gaming as well. There's all these channels now where they've almost become like professionals. You know, they're full-time YouTubers. Let's be honest, they're in it for the money, because if they're in it for the money. These guys are full-time, because the first thing they say is, before I start, we'll introduce you to today's sponsor. This video has been sponsored by McDonald's. Click here and put MemMeister for 10% discount. And that's how it's gone. These guys are on Patreon, they're getting big money every month. And so it's all been done in a professional way. The intros are professional. There's none of this I just talk off the cuff. I pause, I stutter, I can't remember what I'm going to say, I can't think of what I'm going to say. These guys have got scripts, it's well rehearsed. They probably take a lot, I mean, they must take a long time to actually put the videos out. And that's fine, that's absolutely fine. And don't get me wrong, there are one or two channels that do that I do quite like. But the majority of them, especially the sort of retro gaming channels that do that, I don't know, I just find them quite insincere. Because they're doing it for a completely different reason from what I'm doing it. Yeah, I do monetize my channel, I do get some donations, not a lot. Trust me in that, I don't get £20 a month. I mean, that's the bottom line. I'm not in it for the money. It's anything that I do get is just to help me with the costs of what I've got. So I do this as a hobby. But I say these professional channels now, they've lost the authenticity, they've lost the spirit, they've lost the realness, is that a word, that you get with channels like Lawn Boys Post 1975. I'm sure Dave won't mind me putting him in that category, because Lawn Boys Post's videos, Steve Benway's videos, let's be honest, the production values are shit, and I put myself in that category as well. I mean, I'm sitting here with my mobile phone and a tripod, you know, I don't have a professional camera. But for us guys, it's all about, we're real people, and the more saturated this hobby has become, the more channels that have popped up, and they're just in it to make money. And I don't know, I find them in most of these channels, the minute somebody starts saying, as soon as he starts a video, they say, please smash that subscribe button, hit the bell if you want to get updates to my channel, if you want to help support it, please smash that Patreon, please consider, sponsoring me in Patreon, this smashing that like button, piss off. So anyway, yeah, I think as things have gone on, that the whole hobby has just, it's got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, but not in a good way. I mean, I preferred it in the older days when, there was less people. And that, the popularity has even extended to, selling machines. I mean, you go on eBay at the moment, and it's insane, the prices that people are asking. I mean, I've been building up a little collection of these, I keep saying LCD, I don't think they're technically LCD, I don't know what they're called, your Astro Wars, etc. I've been building up a collection of these, and the price that some people are asking for these things is just insane. I mean, I mentioned in a waffle a couple of weeks ago about, there was a guy selling a box, just the box, for one of them for 30 quid, and he was also selling the polystyrene inserts. He was selling them for £25, I think it was, and that's not including the game. So it's just insane. But the prices for some of these things, the prices for everything at the moment, retro gaming wise, Vectrexes, you name it, Commodore 64, Spectrums, anything, stuff that's not worth that kind of money is going for daft money. Which kind of leads me on to the second thing I was going to talk about. I was rabbiting on last week about maybe selling my Spectrum next and getting a Mister. Now, when I got the Spectrum next, I was really excited about it. I was rabbiting on about how great it is, and I still stand by that. I still stand by it. It's a fantastic machine. But here's the thing, I have switched it on, or I'll not say how often I've switched it on. I have not turned that on in probably, I don't know when it came out, probably about a year. I've probably switched it on twice. And I know what you're thinking, well, you're a dickhead for buying it. And you know what, possibly. I probably am. I'm one of these people, I get drawn in very easily to buy things. I think, I want that, I want this, I want that. I was just saying with all these LCD games, I couldn't wait to buy them as quick as possible. So yeah, when the next came out in Kickstarter, I thought I'm going to get one, and I got it, and it's a lovely machine, and I would love to hang on to it. But here's the thing, I was looking at the price of them, and they are going for daft money. They're obviously, because it's a limited supply. I mean, the second batch of Kickstarters, I don't think they've been released yet. I don't know when they're coming out. So people are prepared to pay over the odds for them. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why am I hanging on to it? I should sell it now when it's I'm going to get decent money for it. The part of me feels slightly uncomfortable, the fact that if I was to sell it, I'm probably going to be selling it for way over what I paid for it. But the thing is, I do not regard myself as a scalper. Scalpers are people who buy things specifically to sell on for more money than they paid. Scalpers are people who basically buy stuff with no intention, they've got no interest in the actual product, they're purely buying it to sell on for profit. Now, I don't regard myself in that category, because I bought the next, alright, I've not really used it, I've had it for over a year, and I'm thinking maybe now's the time to sell. Whilst prices are going daft, now's the time to kind of recoup my money. And it's really got me thinking about my collection in general. I've got a lot of machines. I mean, what have I got? I've got a lot of Atari machines. I've got my Atari 800, which sits in my cupboard. In fact, since my daughter's moved back in with me, I can't even really get into the cupboard, so a lot of my stuff I can't really access. I've got stuff like ColecoVision, which I couldn't even tell you the last time I had that on, probably about 2 years ago. I've got the Atari 2600. I've got my BBC, which I would be reluctant to get rid of. I think I would probably keep that, but I've got all these different machines. I've got the Sword M5. All these machines are worth money, and I'm really thinking, is now not the time? That doesn't make sense. Is now the time to sell these whilst prices are high? If I really want to, I could get a Mister and I could run all these systems authentically using that. So I don't know, I'm just, what do you guys think? Guys, people out there who've got collections, at what point do you think you will offload and sell stuff? I mean, I'm getting older. What I don't want to happen is for something to happen to me and my daughter is left with a house full of stuff, because she will not have a clue what to do with it, and that's my concern. I would hate to think that I kick the bucket and she ends up giving the stuff away or selling it for pennies. And I think to myself, well, as much as there's nothing that I want to buy, I don't know, maybe now's the time to sell. I don't know, I go through phases like this where I think, yeah, I should really start getting rid of stuff that I don't use, and it does make sense. It's pointless hanging on to things that you never ever use. So I don't know, I don't know why I even mentioned it in the waffle. It's not an interesting topic, but I'm just kind of putting it out there. Sometimes me talking about it is the best way, because then it gets me thinking, do I want to do that or do I not want to do it? I don't know. Let me know what you think. Any of you guys that have got collections, at what point do you think you should think about selling stuff? I don't know. Anyway, listen, I'm going to, I've got a few questions here, I think. I've got some comments anyway. Right, Ox is saying, sounds like you had a cracking time, mate. You need a few days around London. A weekend just isn't long enough. What's this quarter business? Big old 10 pences, man. Yeah, I was doing London last week, and I met up with a friend and we went to this place called Four Quarters, I think it was. It's a pub, a bleak arcade, or it's a pub that has some arcade machines. You couldn't call it an arcade. It had about maybe 15, 20 machines. I showed you the video last week, so you know what it's talking about. Right, oh hang on, here's yeah, I can hardly even read that. That's because my shit eyesight. Quohod. I read that Madame Tussauds closed the Chamber of Horrors because concerned parents had complaints it was too scary for children. It's not worth going anymore, it was the best bit. Yeah, you're not wrong actually, and I'm sure there was not Madame Tussauds, there's a really, really shitty Diet Coke version of Madame Tussauds. I think it's called Louis Tussauds now. Apparently he's the cousin, or I don't know, he's related to the Tussauds family. But he had one in London, and not in London, in Blackpool, and I shit you not, it is the shittiest the shittiest waxworks you will ever see. They quite literally looked nothing like them. They were absolutely hilarious. They were god awful. But one thing I did like about it, they had a Chamber of Horrors. Now, rather than having things like Frankenstein and the werewolf and all that kind of stuff, they actually had real life murderers, serial killers. I'm sure Dennis Nielsen was there. He was the guy that chopped up bodies in London. I'm sure Fred West was there. Was it Crippen? I think it was, or Christie, I can't remember exactly. But they had Yorkshire Ripper as well, I think. They had real life people, and that was pretty damn scary. That was way scarier than any kind of Alien versus Predator or Count Dracula things. But yeah, so they've done away with it because of kids. I don't know, I suppose things do change. The world changes all the time, and now we don't want to what was I going to say there? Yeah, perish the thought, that's what I was going to say. Perish the thought that kids get scared at a waxwork museum. To be fair, I probably saw the biggest scary thing ever. Donald Trump. Right, Charlie Farr, great waffle, Alan. if you do end up getting a Mister, there's now a new console version coming out called the Mister Multi-System. This does away with having to buy multiple boards to get the full functionality out of the core. It works out a little cheaper as well, I think. You just plug in a Nano, which is the FPGA, and away you go. I love mine, and it's amazing for streaming with no juggling with multiple game-based emulators. Yeah, well, put it this way, if anybody knows how good a video game is going to play, it's Charlie Farr. He's the world record holder for Galaxian. He can one credit most games, trust me on that. He's an absolute ninja. So if Charlie thinks the Mister's a good thing, then that is a big thing to bear in mind. Question for the next waffle. Imagine you're a games programmer. What game would you write? This is one I've been asked before. What game would I really want to play? Excuse me, how rude. Yawning when I'm doing a waffle. It would probably have to be a shoot 'em up of some sort, I think. Yeah, I think it would have to be some sort of. I'm kind of thinking of Jeff Minter. I mean, Jeff Minter's probably, in my mind, written the sort of perfect shoot 'em ups. Your Space Giraffes, your Moose Lifes. These games are so immersive. They draw you in, and you really feel that you're inside the game. You forget you're playing a game. You actually end up inside the game. So yeah, stuff like that. I think it would have to be some sort of really glorious, colourful pixels with texture bitmapping, and all these wonderful explosions, and just lots of kind of a light show. Basically the stuff that Jeff Minter does. It would have to be in the style of probably Robotron, or it would be nice. What would be nice is having a shoot 'em up that had different levels. You had a bit of Robotron, you had a bit of Defender, you had some 1942, stuff like that. That would be excellent. If I was to write a game for modern systems, I would absolutely love a game similar to, not so much, missions. I would love a game that was kind of had a similar game engine to Grand Theft Auto. Is it 5 or is it 6? Is 6 out yet? I don't know, I think it's 5. Yeah, a game that's going to have the same engine, Grand Theft Auto 5, maybe slightly better graphics, but it is set in the 1980s, and I don't know, it's based on real time. So when you start, you're going to start in January 1980, and it would involve, everything in the game. You would have the music, you would have the tail end of the Sex Pistols, you would have your Duran Durans, you would have your Tempo Tudors, you would have all your early kind of punk stuff, your Sex Pistols, not Sex Pistols, the Stranglers, the Specials, all that. And the more you play the game, the game itself is just based on places you could go to. It would all have to be textured maps, so you could basically go into Edinburgh, you could go to the zoo, you could go to a museum, you could go to McDonald's. All the people in the game are going to have the fashion of that time, and the more you play it, things change. So as you're playing it, as you get into 1983, 1984, you're then going to be aware of, I want it to have weather, so in the summer it's going to be sunny, in the winter it's going to be snow. It's going to be, when you get to sort of like 1984 Christmas, you're going to hear Band-Aid. Then when you get to 1985 July, I think it was 1985, you're going to be made aware of Live Aid. Basically, I'm wanting to recreate my childhood. I also want to be able to go into a virtual computer shop in the 1985, and I want to buy a Commodore 64, and I want to be able to Can you imagine going into a virtual store and being able to look at all the cassette games you're picking up? Horace Goes Skiing for the Spectrum, you can turn that around. So yeah, it's not really a game as such, it would just be an experience. Is that kind of game possible? I'm sure it is. I mean, I've played enough of Grand Theft Auto, I've played a bit of it, I've watched a lot of videos, it does look insanely real. I mean, there's loads of different mods and that kind of stuff, but yeah, to be able to buy a game where, you know, you can buy a game, you can buy it from 1980 to 85, if you're a bit younger than me, you can buy it from 1990 to 2000, basically buying a gaming experience. I suppose we're kind of getting into the territory of Total Recall, where you can get a seed plant, get a microchip planted in your head, and you don't go back in time as such, but you can live the life of a different person, and in this case it's not going to be a chip. I don't want any of that bollocks, but I just want to be able to fire up my console and play in 1980, and the more I play it, like I say, the music changes, the weather changes, you get to Christmas. Yeah, I just want to, maybe I'm just looking to reenact a period in my life that was one of the happiest. I mean, I've been blessed with a good life. I've had some crap to deal with over the years, but by and large I've had a very, very good life. I've been very, very fortunate, you know, with jobs and that kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong, I've worked hard. I've nobody's given me anything on the plate, but I've worked hard. But yeah, I've been very lucky having a good life, and the 80s, the mid 80s for me was an exciting time because I was discovering girls, I was getting into computer games, I was going to the pub, I was going to get drunk, and it was like the time when I was just growing I was growing from a boy into a man, I suppose. So yeah, and a game that you could just experience a period of time would be absolutely wonderful. So anyway, Charlie, thank you very, very much. Milfy Swinbuckle, question for the next waffle. Let's see if I can read this. What unique gaming mechanic or even unique game in itself from the past or present has impressed you and you've never seen used again in another game? Obviously this is a bit of a tough question. Is something that works in a game is bound to get reused or ripped off on someone else. However, I've racked my own mega brain and I've come up with a couple of examples below. An example of a gaming mechanic would be the firing system in the top-down PC freeware space shooter game Warning Forever, that lets you shoot directionally at the motherships by simply flying around the screen and not having to press the extra button to do so. An excellent system that I've never seen used since. That's interesting. A unique game could be the C64 title Tilt. I've never seen much like it, certainly on 8-bit, and a brilliant game to boot. Tilt, I've never actually seen it, Milfy. A gaming mechanic, a clever gaming mechanic. Yeah, that does make a bit of sense. I mean, when you think about it, shoot 'em ups, especially when you get sort of like when you get kind of bullet heli type shoot 'em ups. I'm not talking about stuff like Space Invaders. You couldn't play Space Invaders or Galaxian or 1942 just by hammering the fire button. Maybe 1942 at a push, but certainly not Space Invaders or Galaxian. You need to be able to actually time the shots. But games that require you to keep hammering a fire button, where you would, why should you, if you've got to hammer a fire button to get through a game, why not just make it automatic? Why not just give us the automatic firing? So that's quite a good example actually, Milfy. I've never seen that game. What was it called again? Warning Forever. Never actually seen that one. Yeah, why have an action in a game that you have to do regardless? I mean, you obviously want to be able to move left or move right at will. But that's if you had that as automatic, then it would be a bit pointless. I mean, a similar kind of game mechanic that I remember seeing back in, it was in the 8-bit was it 8-bit? I can't remember. There was a tennis game, I can't remember what one it was. There was a tennis game where when the player actually moved, the player automatically moved to the right position, and all you had to do was play the shot. That was interesting because it basically allowed you to actually plan the shot. But I think with tennis, you want to be able to pick where you're running to. But yeah, I have played a few games in the past where it's automatic firing. Another one, a game mechanic that you don't get very often, and I don't know why, and it's a pet hate of mine, is when you're playing an 8 or 16-bit driving game where you have to hold the joystick in the up position to accelerate or to throttle, and you've got to hold it. Now some of them, if you press it forwards, you'll increase your speed, and if you take your hand off the fire button, or not off the fire button, off the joystick, it will stay at that speed. That's fine. You pull back, you brake. But a lot of these games, you had to hold it forwards, and it was quite awkward because you were then having to hold it forwards and then pressing it to the right or left, and sometimes when you did that, you wouldn't be holding it forward properly and the car would slow down. Now a few games, I don't know why more racing games don't have automatic acceleration, and you maybe pull back to brake, or probably even better, you press a fire button to brake. Because whilst in a car, if you're driving about in a city, you're obviously going to want to drive, you're going to want to accelerate, you're going to want to stop. You're not going to want to accelerate constantly because you'll crash. That's a touchy subject with me at the moment, obviously. But yeah, if you're playing a racing game, you're going to want to always be accelerating. So why should you have to always be accelerating? Why should you always have to either be holding the fire button down or holding it in that position? Why don't you automatically have the accelerator pressed down, so you automatically accelerate, and pressing a fire button makes you brake? That would definitely work much better, I think. It allows you to concentrate because you don't have to. Like I said, if you're in a race game, you're going to automatically want to be accelerating. I was watching another video, I can't remember what one it was. This person was playing a Wii game, and to jump, you had to, if you imagine the controller, you had to basically go like that. You had to flick the controller to jump. And what this person said was, because jumping is such an integral part of the game, you ended up getting a sore wrist constantly having to jump. And it's like a lot of the sort of the older games, a lot of the Zelda games, and virtually every third person Tomb Raider type thing. If you want to pick something up, you've got to walk straight over it. If you walk slightly to the side, you don't pick it up. So you've got to hit it bang on. Now, in real life, you don't have to think about picking something up. If I want to pick up that remote control, I just pick it up. I don't even have to look at it. I can pick it up. Similarly, if I want to go out that door, I don't walk up to the door and walk into the wall, or and I've got to try and get through the door. Something as simple as that, you should automatically be able to do it. But in so many of these games, you would walk into the wall and you'd have to try and line yourself up, and that is stupid. And that was one of the biggest problems with the Wii. They kind of utilised the motion controls for things that were utterly pointless. It added nothing to the game, and if anything, it actually detracted from the gameplay. So yeah, things that annoy me are where they put in game mechanics into a game just for the sheer hell of it, and if anything, it makes it worse. But yeah, to try and answer Milfy's question, has there been any game that I've played and I thought, that's good? One game I was actually playing, and yeah, hopefully you may have seen it because I put out the video last night. It's a game called Guns and Ghosts, and it's a utterly superb game. It's got the graphics by Trevor Story, one of my mates. He watches my channel. I'm very lucky to have him on the channel. Trevor did the graphics, Richard Bayless did the sound, and I can't remember who did the actual programming, but it's a great platform game. And one of the game mechanics which I thought was really, really unique, it's a nice one, is you can play as one of two characters. One of the characters has got it's like a sort of laser beam type thing, but the other character, I think it's Trevor, his name is, he's got, no it's not, it's the other character, he's got a shotgun. Now normally when you play a shoot 'em up platform game, shmup itself, whatever, you don't have to think about reloading. I think the only game I can think of back in the day that you had to kind of wait to reload was Forbidden Forest. You actually, when you fired an arrow, you had to press the fire button to reload and you can do it again. But any other game, you just had rapid fire, you could keep shooting all the time. But this one, it kind of mimics real life insofar as you've got a shotgun, so say you've got, like, you can shoot twice and then you have to let it reload. The only way for it to reload is you've basically got to stop walking. So if you're moving, it doesn't automatically reload, so you've basically got to pause, it'll reload, and then you can fire another 2 bullets and you've got to pause, and that just brings in an element of strategy that I've never really seen in an 8-bit game. Really, really nice. Go and watch my video on it. It's a fantastic little game. So yeah, there's probably been other games over the years. I mean, a lot of Sensible Software, Whizball, they had a lot of game mechanics which I've never really seen in other games. Jeff Minter he's at the forefront of introducing new game mechanics. Some of them were good, some of them not so good, but we'll not mention like Mama Llama. But anyway, listen, Milfy, thank you very, very much for that question. Colin Jones, I was talking about a comedy course. I say go for it. You don't have to go any further, but even if it's just an experience, it's something you'll always remember. I used to love the Egyptian exhibits, but seriously, it's the result of grave robbing. I have very mixed emotions over it these days. I remember when you could freely move between the National History Museum and the Science Museum. There's not much in it. Cardiff is about 2.5 miles further east than Edinburgh. I was talking about a quiz question we got asked. What is further east? Is it Cardiff or is it Edinburgh? And apparently Cardiff is actually further east. So there you go. I was mentioning about, my girlfriend said to me, why don't you do this comedy course? You can basically pay money and you do I think it's a 1 or 2 day training course, and then at the end of it you basically get taught how to become a stand-up comedian, and at the end of it you get the option to do to go onto the comedy club for 5 minutes and do a 5-minute set, and it is the single most terrifying thing and exciting thing. I don't know if she's going to get it for my birthday. If she doesn't, I will be slightly disappointed and utterly relieved. If she does, I will be absolutely terrified but excited. So I don't know, we'll see what happens. Colin is a big Mister fan. Mister is great because it's so much in one package. It's still in use here on a daily basis. One thing to note, if you're going to stream or record with it, you'll need a capture device. The one I have is relatively cheap but works really well. You're spot on with the excitement of seeing new releases for it. Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's the old PlayStation syndrome. I've got, and one of my mates, Chris Panther UK, he's a massive emulator fan, and his argument, and I totally get it, is he can do everything that the Mister can do, but he can do it right away. He's got access to all the games and that kind of stuff, and I understand that, I totally understand it, and apparently the lag difference is minimal. But here's the thing, because I have got access to literally tens of thousands of games, I don't get excited the same, because you've got a massive collection. Whereas if I think back to the really early days of MAME, it was so exciting when they would mention, you'd go to Dave's Arcade Classics and it would say, next week MAME is going to include Rolling Thunder, Berserk and R-Type, and you couldn't wait to get that version of MAME. You were so excited. It got to the Friday or the release date and you would download it and then you grab the ROMs and you could play your Kung Fu or Rolling Thunder, and then you had to then wait for a couple of weeks. You had to then wait for the next release of MAME. What games are going to get supported? Now we've got access to all these games, so it kind of sounds a bit weird, but because I've got access to everything, it sounds mental that I would actually want to do away with that and go back to not having everything. But here's the thing, if I were to get a Mister, and I'm not 100% sure I am, that one that Dave, that Charlie Farr's talking about, was kind of interests me. Even if I was to get a Mister, I would still keep my Raspberry Pis, I'd keep my arcade cabinets, they're going nowhere. So yeah, the jury's still out, but I'll need to have a wee think about it. Like I said, I need to think about what I'm going to do with my gaming collection. Should I start selling stuff now that I don't use? I've already started offloading a few bits and pieces. So, and Colin's got a question, a waffle question. Have you ever found a YouTube video when you were looking for something similar that was a complete surprise and made you laugh out loud? I can't think of any offhand, Colin, but yeah, I mean, my YouTube watching is utterly random. Some of the stuff that I watch, you know, you get all these recommendations for videos, so I watch a plethora of things. I can't think of any one particular video that I've watched. Can I? No, I can't think of any one particular one. But yeah, there's. I mean, in amongst some real gems of videos, there's a lot of shit. Especially the YouTube's got this thing where it comes up with these little short videos and that kind of stuff, like 30-second videos. I don't really get them at all. But yeah, there is, Colin. I can't actually think of anything right now. You've put me on the spot. But yeah, there's an absolute shed load of really good content out there. So thank you, Colin. I thought I couldn't really answer that as such. 8-Bit Steve, glad you had a good time in London. I wouldn't want to live there either, it's far too hectic. Talking about London, by the way. 2 questions for you. When are you buying a Mister? And number 2, when are you buying a Mister? I shall think about it, Steve. Yeah, I need to give it some thought. The jury's still out. I certainly can't afford to just go and buy one. If I was going to buy one, it would be because I'm going to sell something. Maybe I should hang on to the Spectrum next, because here's the thing, if I'm going to play a Spectrum game, I'll play it on the next. I've got stuff like the Sword M5, which I never ever use. So maybe if I am going to get a Mister, I'm going to have to pay for it through selling stuff. So yeah, maybe I need to think carefully. What I don't want to do is, like I did with all these electronic games 4 years ago, sell them all to buy something and then after a year go, shit, I wish I'd kept all these things. So yeah, the jury's still out, Steve, but don't hold your breath. And yeah, the last comment I've got here is from Ox. I think these Mister systems are a bit too pricey for all the bolts and bits and ugly to boot. Yeah, they're not the most kind of user friendly. I've got a feeling a cheaper and more capable all-in-one system will come along at some point and blow it out of the water. Well, it does sound like that thing that Charlie Farr's talking about, Neil. It does sound like that could possibly be the thing that I want to get. So I don't know how I think about it. Anyway, listen guys, I'm going to get going. There's something coming. The reason I keep going like that is because there's something coming on TV in 8 minutes that I want to watch. So I will be along on Sunday, usual time, 7 o'clock till 9. I've not decided what it's going to be. It's not going to be Crash Part 5. That is going to be going on forever. Trust me. There's still tons and tons. I think I'm up to page 50 of 112. There's hundreds of games I've still got to do. So it's not going to be a Crash special. I will put out in Facebook what I'm going to be doing. I will be along regardless. It's 7 o'clock till 9 anyway. So listen, I just want to say a big thank you to all my regulars who continually support this channel. It's massively appreciated. Massive thanks to all the new people that have started watching my channel. You know, especially the people that have kind of given me a couple of quid. That is so appreciated. It really is. But it's a good channel. It's got, I don't think it's a good channel. It's a nice community. It really is. Again, heads up, we're going to Arcade Club on the 27th of November down in Bury. If you fancy coming along with myself and a few other people that watch the channel, then please do so. Finally guys, I'm going to get going. I hope you all have a really nice weekend. I will see you on Sunday, and until next time, thank you very much for watching.